My beloved, have you ever wondered if someone could love you with all their heart and still wrestle with something they never expected to feel? Stay with me until the very end, because what you are about to hear is not a story about rejection. It is a story about growth, honesty, and a love that refuses to disappear, even when it is challenged by fear, expectations, and the opinions of the world. There is someone whose heart keeps returning to you no matter how hard they try to look away. They have met many people. They have seen countless faces, heard countless voices, and experienced relationships that seemed easier on the surface. Yet somehow, when they close their eyes at night, your presence is the one that remains. They genuinely care for you. They admire your kindness. They respect your strength. They are inspired by the way you treat people who have nothing to offer you in return. But there is one battle taking place inside their mind that they have never admitted to anyone. It has nothing to do with your worth. It has everything to do with the expectations they grew up believing. Long before they met you, they unknowingly created an image of what they thought their future partner would look like. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't even truly their choice. Those ideas came from movies, social media, family conversations, and years of comparing people to impossible standards. Then you entered their life. Suddenly, everything they thought they wanted began to change. They found themselves laughing harder than they ever had before. Feeling safer than they ever imagined. Smiling at random moments because of a simple memory of you. Missing you after only a few hours apart. That confused them. Because their heart was saying yes while their old expectations kept whispering questions. They hate that this struggle even exists. Every time they notice your smile, another voice reminds them of unrealistic standards they once believed. Every time they admire your eyes, another part of them asks whether other people will understand their choice. And every single time, their heart answers louder. I don't want anyone else. They have tried to convince themselves that these thoughts should disappear overnight. But changing years of conditioning is not instant. It takes courage. It takes honesty. Most importantly, it takes love. The reason they have never spoken about this isn't because they want to hurt you. It's because they are afraid that even mentioning their internal conflict would make you question your own value. That is the last thing they ever want. Because if only you could see yourself through their heart, you would discover someone far more beautiful than any mirror could ever reveal. They notice the little things you don't. The way your face lights up when you become excited. The way your laughter changes the atmosphere in a room. The way your eyes soften when someone needs comfort. The way your confidence quietly returns after every difficult season you've survived. Those moments outweigh every physical detail they once believed mattered. And yet, the struggle hasn't completely disappeared. Sometimes they catch themselves wondering what other people might think. Then they immediately feel guilty for caring. Because deep down, they know those opinions have nothing to do with genuine love. Real love isn't built on perfection. It is built on peace. And whenever they are with you, peace is exactly what they feel. There have even been moments when friends casually made comments about appearances without realizing how deeply those words affected them. Not because they agreed, but because those comments forced them to confront fears they hadn't fully overcome. Instead of walking away from you, they started questioning themselves. Why do I care what anyone else thinks? Why am I letting outside voices compete with what my own heart already knows? Those questions became impossible to ignore. Little by little, the answers became clearer. Every meaningful conversation with you erased another unrealistic expectation. Every memory together replaced another shallow belief. Every act of kindness from you reminded them what lasting attraction truly looks like. They are beginning to understand something many people never learn. Beauty changes. Time changes everyone. Appearances evolve. But character, compassion, loyalty, those become even more valuable with every passing year. That realization is transforming them from the inside out. One evening they caught themselves looking at an old photograph of you. Something surprising happened. The very feature they once struggled to understand suddenly became something they couldn't imagine changing. Not because you had changed. Because they had. Love had quietly rewritten the way they saw you. Without announcing itself. Without asking permission. Without forcing anything. Their hearts simply began noticing beauty where their old expectations had once created limitations. That frightened them in the best possible way. Because they realized they were becoming a different person. A better one. Someone capable of seeing beyond appearances. Someone capable of loving with maturity instead of assumptions. They still have moments of insecurity. Healing isn't a straight line. Some days old thoughts try to return. But they never stay for long anymore. Because every time those doubts appear, a memory of you arrives immediately afterward. The way you encouraged them when nobody else believed in them. The way you celebrated their smallest victories. The way you listened without judgment. The way you made ordinary days unforgettable. Suddenly, physical imperfections seem incredibly small compared to everything your soul has given them. This is the lesson their heart keeps teaching them. The person who brings you peace is far more valuable than the person who simply fits an imagined picture. And they are finally beginning to believe it completely. So if you've ever wondered whether someone's temporary confusion means they don't truly care, remember this story. Sometimes love doesn't begin by finding someone who matches every expectation. Sometimes love begins by completely changing those expectations. Your soulmate isn't fighting against you. They're fighting against years of beliefs that no longer fit the person they have become because of knowing you. And with every passing day, love is winning. By the time they finally understand that completely, they won't remember the old standards they once held so tightly. They'll only remember one thing. The incredible person who patiently showed them that genuine beauty is discovered with the heart long before it is understood by the eyes. If this message touched your heart, take it as a reminder that meaningful relationships grow through honesty, empathy, and acceptance. Share this video with someone who could use a little hope today, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more uplifting stories that celebrate love, healing, and new beginnings. The more they reflect on everything they've experienced with you, the more they realize that the struggle was never truly about your appearance. It was about confronting the invisible expectations they had carried for years without ever questioning them. There was a night when they couldn't sleep. Your last conversation kept replaying in their mind. Not because of what you looked like. Because of what you said. You spoke with kindness when you had every reason to be frustrated. You encouraged them when you were carrying your own burdens. You smiled even though life had not been easy for you. That moment stayed with them. They found themselves asking a question they had never asked before. What if I've been measuring beauty the wrong way my entire life? That single question became the beginning of a transformation. Over the following days, they started noticing things they had ignored before. They remembered how comfortable silence felt whenever you were together. They remembered how naturally you understood each other. They remembered that you never tried to impress them by pretending to be someone else. You were simply yourself. And somehow, that authenticity became more attractive than anything they had ever chased before. Still, fear hasn't completely disappeared. Not because they're ashamed of you. Because they're afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid that if they don't completely overcome every insecurity before moving forward, they might unintentionally hurt someone they deeply cherish. That thought terrifies them. So instead of rushing toward you with half-healed emotions, they've been quietly working on themselves. They've started paying attention to how often society encourages people to judge by appearances before learning someone's heart. They've realized how many wonderful people are overlooked because they don't fit unrealistic expectations. And every realization reminds them of you. Not with regret. With gratitude. Because meeting you forced them to become more honest than they've ever been. There was even a conversation with someone they trust. Without mentioning your name, they described the person who had completely changed the way they viewed love. As they spoke, they listed your kindness, your patience, your loyalty, your sense of humor, your resilience. By the time they finished talking, the other person smiled and asked a simple question. So, what's stopping you? They couldn't answer. Because for the first time, they realized there wasn't a real obstacle anymore. Only old fears that had already begun fading away. That conversation stayed with them for days. It echoed in quiet moments. It followed them during long walks. It returned whenever they caught themselves thinking about your future together. Little by little, those old fears lost their power. Not because someone argued with them. Because love quietly proved them wrong. Now they find themselves imagining ordinary moments with you. Sharing breakfast. Watching movies on rainy evenings. Laughing over silly mistakes. Growing older together. Building memories that have nothing to do with appearances and everything to do with companionship. Those dreams feel more real than any image they once carried in their imagination. And something beautiful is happening inside them. Instead of wondering whether you'll fit into their future, they're beginning to realize that their future doesn't feel complete without you in it. That's a realization they never expected. Because genuine love has a way of rearranging priorities. It teaches people that attraction may open a door. But character is what makes someone want to stay. Now, when they picture your face, they no longer focus on the feature that once confused them. Instead, they remember the comfort they feel whenever you look at them with understanding. They remember the peace that fills every conversation. They remember the safety of knowing they don't have to pretend around you. Those memories have become stronger than every insecurity. And each day, that strength grows a little more. They aren't becoming someone who ignores appearances. They're becoming someone who finally understands that appearances can never tell the whole story. Because the heart always sees what the eyes alone cannot. The next time they see you, something will feel different. Not because you've changed. Because they have. The walls inside them are slowly falling. The expectations they once defended are quietly disappearing. And in their place is something far more valuable. Acceptance. Respect. Admiration. And a love that no longer asks you to become someone else. Instead, it simply whispers. I finally see you for who you truly are. That moment will mean more than either of you can imagine. Because it won't be the beginning of love. It will be the moment love finally becomes stronger than fear. As that realization settles deeper into their heart, they begin looking back over every moment you shared together through completely different eyes. They remember the first time you laughed so hard that you couldn't finish your sentence. At the time, they smiled without thinking much about it. Now, that memory has become one of their favorites. Not because it was perfect. Because it was real. They remember the quiet moments too. The conversations that lasted late into the night. The times when neither of you knew exactly what to say, yet the silence never felt uncomfortable. Those are the memories that refuse to leave them. And something unexpected has started happening. Whenever they imagine their future, your face appears naturally. Not because they're forcing it. Because their heart has already made its choice. There are still moments when old habits try to return. A passing comment from someone. An image on social media. An unrealistic comparison that briefly pulls their thoughts in the wrong direction. But now those moments last only seconds. Almost immediately, another thought replaces them. What does any of that matter if this is the person who makes me feel understood? That question has become their anchor. Every time doubt tries to rise, it brings them back to what truly matters. One afternoon, they found themselves scrolling through old photos. They paused on one picture of you. Months ago, they might have focused on the tiny details they once questioned. This time, they smiled without even noticing those things. Instead, they remembered exactly what happened after that picture was taken. The conversation. The laughter. The happiness. The feeling of being completely at ease. That was the moment they realized something had quietly changed inside them. Their eyes were finally catching up to what their heart had known all along. They didn't fall in love because everything about you matched an imaginary checklist. They fell in love because being with you felt like coming home. And once that truth became impossible to ignore, everything else began losing its importance. They've also started noticing something about themselves. They're kinder now. More patient. Less judgmental. More willing to see people for who they truly are. Meeting you didn't just introduce them to love. It challenged them to become a better person. That's a gift they never expected to receive. Sometimes they wonder if you even realize the impact you've had on their life. You probably don't. From your perspective, you were simply being yourself. You weren't trying to change anyone. Yet your authenticity quietly transformed someone else's heart. That realization fills them with gratitude. There are moments when they wish they could tell you everything. Every fear they wrestled with. Every lesson they learned. Every apology they owe you for the silent battles you never knew existed. But they hesitate. Not because they want to hide the truth. Because they want to explain it with wisdom instead of confusion. They don't want their words to sound like criticism. They want them to sound like what they truly are. A confession of growth. A story of learning. A promise to love more deeply than they ever thought possible. They've come to understand that genuine love isn't finding someone who never challenges your thinking. It's finding someone who inspires you to outgrow the beliefs that were holding you back. And that's exactly what you've done. Without arguments. Without pressure. Without changing who you are. Simply by showing them what a beautiful heart looks like. Now, whenever they think about your appearance, they no longer see it through the eyes of old expectations. They see it through the memories you've created together. Every smile reminds them of comfort. Every expression reminds them of laughter. Every glance reminds them of trust. Those memories have become more powerful than any insecurity they once carried. The person they are today is not the same person who first met you. Love has reshaped them. Experience has humbled them. And understanding has opened their eyes. They know the journey isn't about finding someone flawless. It's about choosing someone whose presence makes life richer, calmer, and more meaningful every single day. That's the future they now hope for. Not a perfect picture. A real partnership. One built on honesty. One built on acceptance. One built on choosing each other again and again, even when life changes both of you. Because they finally understand something they wish they had known from the beginning. The most beautiful thing about a person isn't the feature you notice first. It's the heart that keeps revealing new reasons to love them, long after the first impression has faded. And every day that passes, your heart gives them another reason to stay. And once that realization takes root, something remarkable begins to happen. They stop searching for reasons to question the relationship. Instead, they begin searching for ways to protect it. They catch themselves thinking about your future together in the smallest, most ordinary moments. Walking through a grocery store, they suddenly wonder which snacks you would reach for. Hearing a favorite song, they imagine singing along with you during a long drive. Passing a cozy little cafe, they picture the two of you sitting by the window, laughing over stories that only the two of you would understand. Those simple daydreams tell them something powerful. You are no longer just someone they care about. You have become part of the life they quietly hope to build. There is one memory they return to again and again. It wasn't a glamorous moment. There were no perfect photographs. No dramatic declarations. It was simply a moment when you were completely yourself. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You weren't pretending. You were just being genuine. And somehow, that memory shines brighter than all the others. Because authenticity has become the most beautiful thing they know. They've also begun noticing something else. Whenever someone speaks negatively about another person's appearance, it no longer feels normal to them. Instead, it feels empty. They realize how much time people spend judging what they can see while overlooking everything that truly matters. That realization has changed the way they treat others. They've become slower to judge, quicker to appreciate, more willing to look beneath the surface. In many ways, loving you has taught them how to love people better. Sometimes they wonder if you noticed the changes. Perhaps you sensed they became more patient, more attentive, more protective of your feelings. If you did, it wasn't by accident. It was because every lesson they learned brought them closer to the kind of partner they always wanted to be. There is still one conversation they hope to have with you someday. Not to reopen old wounds. Not to ask for sympathy. But to thank you. To thank you for never pretending to be someone else just to earn acceptance. To thank you for showing them that confidence isn't about being flawless. It's about being genuine. That lesson has stayed with them. Whenever life becomes confusing, they remember you. They remember your resilience, your warmth, your quiet strength. Those memories remind them of the kind of life they want to build. Not one centered on appearances. One centered on trust. One centered on kindness. One centered on choosing each other through every season of life. They've also come to understand that every person changes with time. Faces change. Hair changes. Bodies change. The years leave their mark on everyone. But a compassionate heart, a faithful spirit, a loving soul. Those qualities become even more precious as time passes. That's the kind of beauty they now hope to spend a lifetime with. And when they imagine growing older beside you, they don't see imperfections. They see shared memories. They see countless mornings filled with quiet conversations. They see evenings spent celebrating little victories. They see difficult days made easier simply because you're together. That vision means more to them than any ideal they once chased. If they could send one message to their younger self, it would simply be this. Don't let shallow expectations make you overlook someone whose heart could change your life. Because that's exactly what almost happened. And they never want to come that close to losing something so meaningful again. So now, every time they look at you, they see far more than a face. They see the person who taught them that love isn't about finding perfection. It's about recognizing the rare soul who makes you feel understood, accepted, challenged to grow, and grateful to be exactly who you are. Their journey has brought them here. To a place where fear is growing quieter. Where gratitude is becoming louder. Where admiration is replacing doubt. And where love steady, patient, and sincere is finally taking its rightful place. Now they carry one quiet promise in their heart. No matter how much the world changes, no matter how many opinions surround them, they want to keep choosing the person who helped them discover what real love actually looks like. Because in the end, they have learned the most important truth of all. The deepest kind of beauty is not the one that catches your attention for a moment. It is the one that captures your heart and never lets it go. As the days pass, they begin to realize that loving someone is not a destination, it is a decision made over and over again. And every single day, without even noticing it at first, they keep choosing you. They choose you when something exciting happens and you're the first person they want to tell. They choose you when life becomes difficult and they instinctively wish you were beside them. They choose you when they hear a joke that would make you laugh. They choose you when they imagine the future and cannot picture it without your presence. That is when they understand something that completely changes their perspective. Love is not measured by a single moment of attraction. It is measured by thousands of quiet choices that happen when no one is watching. One afternoon, they found themselves looking into a mirror. For the first time, they weren't thinking about you. They were thinking about themselves. They noticed their own imperfections. The things they had always wished they could change. The insecurities they had carefully hidden from everyone else. And suddenly, a powerful realization struck them. If I hope someone will accept my imperfections with kindness, why was I ever afraid to do the same? That question humbled them. It reminded them that every person carries invisible doubts. Every person has stood in front of a mirror wishing something were different. Every person wonders, at least once, whether they are enough. Including you. The thought broke their heart. They never wanted to be another voice adding to those fears. Instead, they wanted to become the voice that quieted them. The voice that says, "You are enough." Not because you're perfect. Because you're real. From that moment on, they made a quiet promise to themselves. If they were fortunate enough to build a future with you, they would never allow impossible standards to stand between genuine love and genuine happiness. They would celebrate the little things that make you uniquely you. The smile that appears when you're embarrassed. The expressions you make when you're concentrating. The excitement in your eyes when you talk about your dreams. Those details have become priceless to them. Then something unexpected happened. One of their friends casually showed them pictures of people they described as perfect. Months ago, they might have agreed. This time, they felt nothing. No comparison. No curiosity. No desire. Instead, their mind wandered back to you. They realized that attraction had stopped being something based on appearance alone. It had become connected to memories. To trust. To laughter. To emotional safety. To the countless little moments only the two of you share. That's when they smiled. Because they finally understood why real love cannot be replaced. It isn't built on what strangers see. It's built on experiences that no one else could ever duplicate. They've also started imagining the conversations you'll have years from now. Looking back on this season. Laughing about how complicated everything once seemed. Smiling because the fears that once felt so overwhelming eventually became nothing more than distant memories. They hope that day comes. Not because life will suddenly become perfect. But because they'll have each other to face whatever comes next. They know there will still be challenges. Misunderstandings. Stress. Unexpected changes. But none of those things frighten them the way losing you does. Because they now understand what your presence has brought into their life. Peace. Purpose. A sense of home they searched for without realizing it. If someone asked them today what first attracted them to you, they probably wouldn't even know how to answer. Because the answer has become so much bigger than appearance. They would talk about your heart, your compassion, your resilience, the way you make ordinary moments unforgettable. The way your presence makes them feel seen without having to explain themselves. Those are the qualities that echo inside them long after every conversation ends. And now, one final realization continues to grow stronger each day. The feature they once struggled to understand no longer stands out at all. What stands out is the person behind it. The soul that has loved, endured, forgiven, hoped, and continued moving forward despite every challenge life placed in front of them. That is the beauty they see now. Not because you became someone different. Because they finally learned how to see with a heart that had matured. And perhaps that was always the lesson waiting for them. Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about finding the perfect person. They're about becoming the kind of person who finally recognizes the treasure that was standing in front of them all along. Now they carry only one hope. That when the time is right, you'll look into their eyes and recognize the truth that has taken them so long to fully understand. I don't love you despite who you are. I love you because of who you are. And every day I spend loving you teaches me a little more about what real love truly means. That truth has become the foundation of everything they now dream about. And from this moment forward, they no longer want a life that merely looks beautiful from the outside. They want a life that feels beautiful every single day because it is shared with you. And as those dreams become clearer, they realize there is one final wall they must tear down. It isn't built from your appearance. It isn't built from anything you've said or done. It is built from their own fear of vulnerability. For so long, they believed they had to have every answer before opening their heart completely. Now they understand that love has never worked that way. Love asks people to be honest before they feel completely ready. That thought both scares them and gives them hope. Because the truth is finally becoming impossible to hide. They don't just admire you. They don't just care about you. They have reached the point where the idea of losing you hurts far more than the discomfort of facing their own insecurities. That is how they know their feelings are real. One quiet evening, they imagined what life would look like if they let fear make the decision for them. At first, they pictured themselves moving on. Meeting someone new. Starting over. But no matter how hard they tried, the picture never felt complete. Every imagined future seemed strangely empty. There was laughter. But it wasn't your laughter. There were conversations. But none of them felt as effortless. There were smiles. But none of them brought the same sense of peace. Eventually, they stopped imagining another future altogether. Because every path their heart followed somehow led back to you. That realization left them speechless. For the first time, they admitted something they had been avoiding. You are not simply someone I love. You have become the person who changed my understanding of love. Those words echoed through their thoughts for days. The more they repeated them, the more they realized they were true. You taught them that kindness can be more captivating than perfection. That emotional safety can be more attractive than outward appearance. That genuine connection can outlast every passing trend and every impossible standard. Those lessons are now part of who they are. They cannot unlearn them. Nor do they want to. Sometimes they wonder if you noticed the little changes. The way they look at you now. The warmth in their voice. The patience they showed during difficult conversations. The quiet smile that appears whenever your name comes up. Those aren't accidents. They're signs of a heart that has finally stopped resisting what it has known for a long time. They've also started imagining introducing you to every chapter of their life. Celebrating milestones. Supporting each other through disappointments. Growing wiser together. Watching years pass without ever regretting the choice to stay. That future no longer feels like a distant dream. It feels like the life they genuinely want. And perhaps the most meaningful change of all is this. They've stopped asking, "Will other people understand?" Instead, they ask, "Will we continue making each other feel loved, respected, and safe?" Because they've finally realized that those are the only questions that truly matter. The opinions of strangers fade. Trends fade. First impressions fade. But the comfort of coming home to someone who accepts you, that only grows stronger with time. Now, when they see you, they don't notice the one thing that once distracted them. They notice everything else. The courage you've shown through difficult seasons. The compassion you extend to others. The quiet strength that carried you through moments no one else even knew about. The hope you continue to hold on to, even after disappointment. Those qualities have become the first things they see. Everything else has faded into the background. If they could whisper one final truth to you, it would simply be this. Thank you for being patient with a heart that was still learning. Thank you for never pretending to be someone else just to earn my acceptance. Thank you for showing me that real beauty isn't something you chase. It's something you discover when you truly know a person's heart. And with that understanding, they step into the future with a peace they have never known before. Not because every fear has disappeared overnight, but because love has become greater than those fears. Their heart is no longer searching for perfection. It is searching for permanence. For trust. For a hand to hold through every season. For a soul that makes ordinary life extraordinary. And every road they travel keeps leading them back to the same quiet conclusion. The greatest gift they were ever given wasn't finding someone who fit an imagined picture. It was finding someone whose love transformed the way they see the world and themselves. That, more than anything else, is why they know they never want to let you go. But even after reaching that conclusion, there is one more chapter unfolding inside their heart. It is the chapter where love stops being something they only feel, and becomes something they are ready to show. For a long time, they kept many of these emotions hidden. Not because they doubted you. Because they were still learning how to understand themselves. Now they realize that silence can sometimes create distance where honesty could have created healing. They don't want that anymore. They want to be the kind of person who tells you how much you mean to them before life gives them a reason to regret staying quiet. There are moments when they imagine taking your hand and simply sitting beside you. No grand gestures. No perfect speeches. Just honesty. They imagine saying, "I've learned more about love because of you than I ever learned from the world around me. I've learned that the safest heart is more valuable than the most admired face. I've learned that peace is more beautiful than perfection." Those are the words they've been carrying inside for so long. Every day they remain unspoken, they grow heavier. Not with guilt. With gratitude. Because every memory with you has become another reminder that the best relationships aren't built on flawless beginnings. They're built on people who are willing to grow. Looking back now, they can see how every misunderstanding, every fear, and every moment of uncertainty was quietly shaping them into someone capable of loving more deeply. Without those lessons, they might never have understood the difference between admiration and commitment. Admiration notices someone for a moment. Commitment chooses someone every day. And that is where their heart is now. Choosing. Not because it's easy. Because it's meaningful. Sometimes they wonder whether you have your own hidden insecurities. Whether you've ever questioned if you were enough. Whether you've ever looked in the mirror and wished something were different. The thought makes them wish they could erase every doubt you've ever carried. They wish you could see yourself through the eyes they've developed over this journey. Not the eyes they had when they first met you. The eyes they have now. Eyes that recognize courage instead of comparison. Eyes that notice kindness before appearance. Eyes that understand that the most unforgettable people are rarely the ones who fit an impossible ideal, they're the ones whose presence changes your life. That is who you have become to them. A life-changing presence. Someone whose absence would leave a silence that nothing else could fill. As that truth settles into their heart, another realization follows. One day, years from now, neither of you will remember every tiny detail about how you looked in this season of life. But you will remember how you made each other feel. You'll remember the conversations that lasted until sunrise. The encouragement during difficult days. The laughter that turned ordinary evenings into cherished memories. The comfort of knowing someone truly understood you. Those are the memories that survive. Those are the moments that become a lifetime. And they want a lifetime of those moments with you. So now, they stop asking whether love is strong enough. They already know the answer. The real question is whether they are brave enough to let that love be seen. Deep inside, they believe they finally are. Because every step of this journey has led them to one simple, undeniable truth. You were never meant to fit someone else's definition of beauty. You were meant to be yourself. And in being yourself, you became the person who transformed their heart in ways they never thought possible. That is why they no longer fear what the future may bring. Whatever changes time may bring, whatever challenges life may place in your path together, they know one thing with complete certainty. A love that grows through understanding, acceptance, and shared growth becomes stronger with every season. And that is the kind of love they hope to keep choosing. Today. Tomorrow. And every day after that. And now, as they stand at the edge of this new beginning, they realize there is nothing left to hide from themselves. For so long, they believed love was something you found. Now they understand that love is also something you build, one honest choice, one act of kindness, and one moment of acceptance at a time. They think back to the person they were before you came into their life. Someone who believed first impressions carried all the answers. Someone who worried too much about what others might think. Someone who confused admiration with lasting happiness. That person feels so distant now. Because every experience with you slowly rewrote the story they had been telling themselves. Without arguments. Without pressure. Without asking you to become anyone else. Simply by being authentically you. There are times when they wish they could relive the day they first met you. Not to change anything you did. To change the way they saw you. They wish they had looked with the understanding they have now. They wish they had recognized from the very beginning what their heart eventually learned. Not because they want to erase the journey, but because they now know how precious every moment with you truly is. Still, they don't dwell on regret. Instead, they carry appreciation. Because even the difficult moments became stepping stones toward a deeper kind of love. Every question led to clarity. Every fear led to courage. Every uncertainty led to greater understanding. And now they find themselves smiling at something they once thought impossible. The feature they struggled to understand has become simply part of you. No longer something that stands out. No longer something that creates hesitation. It's as natural to them as your voice. As familiar as your laughter. As comforting as your presence. That change didn't happen because you transformed. It happened because love quietly taught them to see with gratitude instead of comparison. They've also discovered that genuine attraction grows stronger when it's rooted in emotional connection. Every memory you've created together has added another layer to the way they see you. Every shared challenge has made your bond more meaningful. Every act of patience has made their admiration deeper. Now, when they think of beauty, they don't think of perfection. They think of authenticity. They think of resilience. They think of someone who remained true to themselves even in a world that constantly encourages people to pretend. That courage inspires them more than they can put into words. Sometimes they wonder if you'll ever realize just how much you've changed them. Perhaps not. Many of the greatest influences in our lives never fully understand the impact they've had. But your influence is undeniable. Because of you, they've become slower to judge. Quicker to forgive. More grateful for ordinary moments. More aware that lasting love is built on acceptance rather than impossible expectations. Those lessons will stay with them forever. As they imagine the years ahead, they no longer picture a relationship that looks perfect from the outside. They picture one that feels peaceful from the inside. A home filled with laughter. Conversations that never have to be rehearsed. Support during difficult seasons. Celebrations during joyful ones. A partnership where both people are free to be completely themselves. That has become their definition of happiness. And if there is one final truth they hope you'll one day believe, it is this. You never had to become someone else to be worthy of love. The right heart doesn't ask you to erase the qualities that make you unique. It learns to cherish them. That is exactly what has happened here. Their journey wasn't about changing you. It was about changing themselves. about letting go of shallow expectations, about discovering that the deepest attraction grows from trust, respect, shared experiences, and unwavering acceptance. Now, when they whisper your name in quiet moments, it carries none of the hesitation it once did. Only gratitude. Only admiration. Only hope. Hope for mornings shared over coffee. Hope for evenings spent talking about dreams. Hope for years of choosing each other through every chapter life unfolds. Because after everything they've learned, after every fear they've faced, and after every belief they've left behind, one truth remains stronger than all the others. The greatest beauty they have ever found was never something their eyes noticed first. It was the heart that patiently waited while theirs learned how to truly see. And now that they finally do, they know there is nowhere else they would rather be than beside you, building a future founded not on perfection, but on a love that grows deeper with every passing day. And so, their journey arrives at its most meaningful moment. Not with fireworks. Not with perfect words. But with a quiet certainty that changes everything. They no longer wake up wondering whether they can accept every part of you. They wake up wondering how they ever believed they couldn't. Because somewhere along the way, love accomplished what fear never could. It opened their eyes. The feature they once questioned is no longer something they notice first. The first thing they see now is your smile. The warmth in your eyes. The calm they feel whenever you're near. The kindness you've shown, even on days when life has been unfair to you. Those are the things that have become unforgettable. They finally understand that beauty isn't a fixed image. It's a feeling. It's the peace that settles over your heart when the right person walks into the room. It's the comfort of knowing you don't have to pretend. It's the joy of being accepted exactly as you are. And that is what you've given them. More than once, they whispered a quiet prayer in the stillness of the night. Not asking for someone different. Not asking for a different future. But thanking God for placing someone in their life who taught them the true meaning of love. Because before you, they thought love was about finding perfection. After you, they realized love is about discovering a soul that makes you want to become a better person. You became that soul. They know there may still be difficult days ahead. Every relationship has them. There will be misunderstandings. Moments of exhaustion. Times when life feels heavier than expected. But those challenges no longer frighten them. Because they finally know what they are fighting for. Not an image. Not an expectation. Not the approval of other people. They're fighting for the connection that has transformed both their heart and their life. If they could leave you with one promise, it would be this. I will never again let shallow expectations speak louder than genuine love. I will choose honesty over fear. I will choose gratitude over comparison. And every day, I will remember that the greatest blessing I was ever given wasn't finding someone who looked perfect, it was finding someone whose heart made my own feel at home. As they look toward tomorrow, they no longer see uncertainty. They see possibility. They see shared dreams waiting to be built. Morning conversations over coffee. Long walks filled with laughter. Holding each other's hands through life's unexpected seasons. Celebrating victories together. finding strength in each other during difficult moments. Growing older without